At the international summit held at CPAC 2025, an important resolution was passed for continued support of Israel for the hostages being held by Hamas and the families of the hostages themselves.
We all, a CPAC family, first we stand with your families. When you are in pain, when you are suffering, we are suffering with you, and we are praying for each and every one of you.
The Nova Festival had almost 5,000 people. People went to celebrate life. And the people who were kidnapped from them had nothing to do with this conflict, had nothing to do with this war, and they should have never used as a currency in this war. I went to this festival because it was my brother's first festival ever. I arrived there pretty early in the morning. I think like 30 minutes later, the terrorists started shooting on us. It was a massive round of shooting. It came from all around us. We had to leave our cars and run away, and I haven't seen my brother ever since. So after almost 10 hours of fleeing, running and hiding, while terrorists shooting on me with gunshots and RPGs, rockets, I was finally able to get rescued by our forces. And they took us to the nearest police station. This is where I called my father. And my father sounded broken. And that's when he told me that my brother was kidnapped and that Hamas was already published a hostage video 3 hours before I was even able to escape, which meant that my parents, my family, everyone knew that my brother was taken, but no one told me, so I can focus on saving my own life.
On October the 7th, Hamas terrorists barged into my sister Amichai and Omri's home. My niece Roni was awakened with a gun pointed at her face. They were abused for hours, and then at around 1:30 p.m., Omri was handcuffed. Amichai told him she loves him, she'll take care of the girls, and asked him not to be a hero. He told her he loves her, and that was the last time she saw him. And ever since, Omri has been a hero. For 503 days, he's been a hero in captivity, fighting for survival, while we are fighting here to returning home. And since that day, I've been her voice. I've been Omri's voice. I've been every single hostage voice, because they can't speak from the dungeons of Hamas. They are chained, they are starved, deprived of water, sanitation, sunlight. They're calling for the rescue.
It's really hard. I mean, Idan is an all-American kid, Tenafly High School graduate, decided on a gap year to enlist himself to IDF, and because he loved both of his countries. You know, he was seen in the tunnels right at the beginning, and then Hamas released this hostage video on Thanksgiving's weekend. When we saw Idan speaking, we saw him well. He was pale. He wasn't himself, but he was alive. And this is what's important for us, and this is what drives us forward.
To be victorious, we have to bring in home the hostages. It's a humanitarian issue. It's an international issue. Hostages from so many countries were kidnapped, of several faiths were kidnapped and are still held.
Our message is that President Trump loves you. He hasn't forgotten your loved ones, and he's going to fight every single day to bring them home. That is exactly what he's been doing, and that's what he'll keep on doing.
Like Vice President JD Vance said, irrespective of other issues, there is one priority right now. Let's not sign more death certificates. Let's make sure all the hostages who are alive return home, and those who were murdered in captivity, like those who will return today and broke our heart, will be buried in the land of Israel.
For almost 500 days, we waited for the second deal to come. And as soon as Trump started his role as the President of the United States, you could see hostages start to return. And for that, we thank him. We believe that with him, we will get to see all the other hostages.
President Trump is a very tough guy, he's a smart guy. At the beginning, when we first met, before he took office, he was shocked by the fact that 45 Americans were killed on that day, on October 7th. And ever since we met him, he took ownership on this matter, and we're really grateful for that.
I'll ask all this amazing audience to close your eyes and imagine with me my nieces Roni and Alma running to their father Omri. Imagine my sister Amichai hugging and kissing her husband Omri. Imagine Danny, Omri's father, shaving his beard after hundreds of days and embracing his son Omri. And take that joy of picturing that to mobilize in every way you can: prayer, action, rallying, writing, so that I could tell my nieces, Ronnie and Alma, that their father is coming home tomorrow.
Don't forget the hostages. Don't forget that they are waiting for you. Everyone can do something, and we all have the responsibility to do all we can to bring them back. And together we will.
We spent time with Noa, who is here. She's one of the freed hostages who was in captivity for over 200 days. This young woman is recovering from major trauma, and she's putting her trauma aside to be a voice for the rest of the hostages. And we here have an obligation to make sure we give them the love, the support, the prayers, and make sure that these hostages come back home.
Throughout the 4-day event held outside of Washington, D.C., CPAC embraced the freed hostages, while the Israeli ministers attending focused their thoughts on total victory over Hamas.
We have to make sure that next generation does not have this evil to deal with.
We saw what happens when education for killing Jews and murdering Jews, like the Hamas is doing, is leading to. So we need to insist that whoever is going to stay there, if they're going to stay there, they need to educate their kids to tolerate and to be able to be positive and to love people and not to terror, hate, and murder.
Israel has the right and it's obliged to eliminate its enemies, to eradicate evil, as Marco Rubio said. And this is a totally different approach. And this is how you win wars.